people use the designated crossing points and the zebra crossings.
Now, as we had mentioned earlier, the Center for Multi-Party Democracy is addressing the media on the state of the nation. Let's just cross back over and listen.
So that the right environment in which 2022 will happen will be established. The time to bite the bullet and reform IEBC is now for both operations and in the conduct of 2022 elections. So as political parties, we want to see 2020 as the year of reform to allow our political parties then to take on board this reform and be able to use it for their own internal processes as well. We also under strengthening the political parties also, we had discussed extensively the role of our political parties, and our political parties are the fundamental institutions in a democratic society. The current law on funding of political parties is discriminatory and in fact unconstitutional. We therefore would like the political parties' funding mechanisms and laws reformed. We urge Parliament to give serious consideration to amend Section 25 of the Political Parties Act 2011 to provide for funding of political parties across the board, no matter how big or small they are, because political parties are institutions that are driving the democratic space in this country. The Campaign Finance Act 2013 is also of concern. It was suspended in 2017 and requires serious amendments. The said law ought not to make politics and elections, for that matter, the preserve for the rich and well-endowed. We pray that this law shall focus more on disclosure than on regulations. It is our considered opinion that our leadership, for the Leadership and Integrity Act to be effective, political parties should bear responsibility of vetting candidates on their suitability to carry out the banner for the political parties. And I think today we have taken that on board. We have committed to making sure that our primaries are above board and are going to make sure that some of the recommendations that are actionable will be actioned through our party primaries. And in conclusion, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is a social contract arrived at after many years of struggle. While change is good, and in fact are necessary because the 2010 Constitution is a consensus document. And in consensus documents, sometimes some provisions were agreed upon, perhaps that may not be ideal, they may be less than ideal, and the country has had close to about a decade to implement and has that experience. Therefore, it is a good time also to relook at some of the areas that we need to look at in our Constitution. That said, there's a lot that had not been implemented, and we're also urging, if there are things that haven't been implemented, be it the two-thirds gender rule, be it things around the resource distribution and free and fair elections, those must also be implemented alongside looking at what didn't work that had been implemented.
Center of Multi-Party Democracy, they are giving their state of the nation, talking about 2020 as it should be the year of reforms, from IEBC reforms to roles of political party as being in a democratic nation and amendments of that act, and also that politics should